Hey Kansas City, welcome. It's Chef Tom over at the Cardinal Cafe at Manual Career Technical Center. Today we are going to make something so cool. We're going to make a Quiche Lorraine. And I know it sounds intimidating, doesn't it? But guess what? This is one of the easiest things that you're going to do. So we've gone ahead and we've washed our hands, and we're going to start off doing some knife work. So what's the most important thing we have to do when we're starting off with knife work? We have to sharpen our knife. Each day, every single time, okay? Your knife has to be razor sharp whenever you're in the kitchen. So we're just going to lay down our towels so that we're not moving around. And again, the same number on either side. I'm partial to 10, that's what I do. Okay? Now, when we're making Quiche Lorraine, our primary ingredients are simply bacon and cheese. Okay? Typically, Gruyere is used, but cheddar is what I have in my refrigerator today. So we're going to take our bacon that we cooked, and we are just going to cut this baby up. Okay? Again, always working with the claw, never having your fingers or thumbs out, always in. All right? We're just going to cut up all this bacon, and you can tell it's really nice and crisp. Okay, so we've got our bacon cut up. We're just going to bring our pie pan over, and we're going to take this delicious bacon and we're just going to put it in the bottom of this pie pan. Okay, really simple, no big deal. You don't have to be fancy about it. Just kind of try and spread it out as best you can. And then we're going to take this knife, we're going to wipe it off over here, and we're just going to set it aside because we don't need it right now. Okay? So, with our bacon, we're going to go ahead and we're going to add roughly a cup of cheese. Because this is, the inside of this pie pan is a small area. Now, you don't want to overstuff it with any one ingredient. Now, we are to our eggs. Our eggs need to come out of this bowl, because the interesting thing about this is that when we crack eggs in the kitchen, is we have to crack our eggs into a separate bowl before we go in our big bowl. Just in case there's ever a problem with an egg. So we crack, dump. Crack, dump, crack, dump, crack, dump, whoo, crack and dump, okay? Now, quiche is, the formula to quiche is 4 eggs to 2 cups of heavy cream. The fact of the matter is, I like 5, okay? It's just what I do. I like to make sure that my quiche is going to be set up. We're going to take a couple cups of cream. Now this is nice, heavy, full-fat cream. We're going to pick it up, and we're going to go right in there with our first cup. And we're just going to hold on to this. Go with our second cup. Set this guy over here and get that guy to the sink. Now, you can use a burr mixer. You don't have to do it by hand. I just prefer doing it by hand. It's the way I've always done it. It doesn't really take that much longer. And you can see the eggs breaking up in your mixture. You can see your yolks turning your cream colors, getting a nice yellow color there. Guess what? A little salt and pepper. Okay? Yeah, that looks good. So now we're going to take this mixture and we're going to go right into our pie pan. And we're going to go all the way around. Okay? You don't want to just pour it into one spot. You want to go all the way around. Okay? Fill up your pie tin about that far. You're typically going to have about a half a cup of batter left or so. And that is just so that you get this as your product, all right? You want this pie pan nice and full, but not overfilled. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this baby to the hot oven. And this is where you find out how good you are at moving things that slosh. We're going to get that right in the oven. We're going to set our timer for 35 minutes. Now, today's segment is not going to go 35 minutes, all right? But what we have done is we started another quiche earlier, is so that we can show you the finished product. So, everywhere I've ever served quiche, we've served it at a brunch, and we've always done a little fresh fruit on the side. So we're going to take just a few minutes and we're going to cut up some fresh fruit. We're going to start with a honeydew. Now when you cut up fresh fruit, you cut off the ends, and then you go down and around. Okay? And you do not have to be quick at this. I am because, well, I've been doing it all my life. Okay, you will notice that the cutting board that I am on is going to be my dirty cutting board, okay? Because when we pare our fruit, we're going to go over to this cutting board. We're just going to take these peelings and get rid of it. Now, our second fruit is a cantaloupe. The important thing about cantaloupe is that it has a porous rind, okay? That's why you're going to do this on a separate cutting board than where you cut your fruit, because this rind can actually hold on to some cross-contamination from the field. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to clean this, but then we're going to sanitize the knife right afterward before we continue cutting fruit. Ooh, look at that baby. That looks delicious. And just like with the honeydew, we're just going to cut it all the way around. No big deal. But you do want your knife super, super sharp for this. And you just want to take a look and make sure that you've got all the green off of there. Okay? There. We're going to set that baby over there. Now, we are going to get rid of this entire board because of the skin of this cantaloupe, all right? We're just going to set it aside in our sink. And we have a wet towel under it that we're going to get rid of. And we're going to come back with our sanitizer towel. And I know I've told you this before, but the sanitation concentration for your sanitizer bucket is 2 to 4 parts per million. 200 to 400 parts per million, sorry. And you know, just take 1 second with that sanitizer towel and give your workstation a little wipe. Just make sure that you're not going to have any cross-contamination. Now, when we cut up this fruit, this part's kind of cool. We're going to open that up like this, right? You see the seeds? That's where our ice cream scoop comes in handy, because we're just going to take it right over to the garbage. We're going to take our ice cream scoop, just like that. We're just going to scoop that stuff right out. Okay, see that? Nice, fleshy fruit. Now, the exact same thing with the honeydew. But the seeds in the honeydew are a little more liquidy than the seeds in the cantaloupe. So you just have to be careful when you're scooping these out to get them all. Because the last thing you want to do is serve a customer a piece of fruit that still has some seeds in it. Oh, there's a couple hiding. All right. Now, when we cut this cantaloupe and honeydew, we're just going to take it. We're going to make a slice right down the middle, okay? We're going to turn it. We're going to keep it lined up, and we're just going to slice it. Okay, that's all we're going to do. Super easy. Look at that. Beautiful, huh? Guess what? We're going to do the exact same thing with the honeydew. Just going to give it a cross cut and then do the same exact thing we just did with the cantaloupe. Of course, it won't come out as nice as the cantaloupe did, but it'll be good. Okay, we've got these. We're going to set our knife aside. We're going to grab our plates. And why are we setting up 2 plates? One for display and one for the cameraman. Okay, I'm just playing. So, take some of this nice leaf lettuce, get it on our plate. Okay, and we're going to take a few slices of honeydew and just put those on. And a few slices of cantaloupe. Put those on. And I don't know about you, but I like some nice fresh strawberry on a lot of things that I do. I think it's just a nice little pop of color. Okay, we're just going to put that on just like that. We're going to switch our plates. We're going to grab our honeydew. Put that on, then we're going to grab our cantaloupe. We'll lay some of that on. Grab another strawberry. Cut him in half. All right, now the crazy thing is that our quiche that we have in the oven warming up should be done. I'm going to grab a towel because this is going to be hot. Let's take this baby out. Look at that. That's what beautiful quiche looks like coming out of the oven, okay? Now, we're going to take and sanitize our knife again. Give it a quick dry. And now, we're going to give this quiche a cut and see how it looks. The thing is, this quiche, when it comes out of the oven, it needs to rest for about 20 minutes, okay? You can't just cut right into it. It needs some time to rest because the eggs and cream create a liaison. And a liaison is a lot like a custard. It'll thicken it up like a custard. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to see if we can get this out. The first piece is always the most challenging. Oh man, look at that. That is absolutely beautiful. And that is exactly how you should serve it in your restaurant, okay? That is perfect quiche. And I can't believe that anybody would come into your restaurant and not be happy to get that. Hey, I hope you enjoy your food. As always, remember, if there's something you want to see that we're not telling you, shoot us an email at tbelisle@kcpublicschools.org. All right? I hope you try this, and I hope you love it. You have a great day.
Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to another wonderful episode of what now has a name. We're going to call this show Platform and feature every so often Open Mic Friday. Another notion that I really think is fun to explore in classrooms and places where people can kind of convene and share. You could do this every so often on a Friday. This show happens to take place on a Friday, and we have an awesome guest today, which we always have. But today, one of our members of one of the shows that we used to do at Paseo that's still going, believe it or not, called Coffee House. I remember so well because Cheyenne just really jumped on the stage and owned the thing, like from, I think, the very, very, very start of it all. And as I got to host that show a while and then pass it over to students and ask them to host for actually 16 years, still you stand out as one of the people who had obviously been getting ready for the stage, or it was definitely something that you were prioritizing a little bit more than some people who were kind of getting introduced to it by high school. So I will say that there's a few people I've talked to since high school that I almost had a guess were going to go deeper into the field of performing or music or something like that. And you were definitely one of those people that I had a strong guess, I will say that. So you're with us today. It's so awesome to catch up again. So just do that for us, if you would, to start off. Catch us up. You're walking out of the doors of Paseo Academy and out into the world. You know, what happened after high school?
Well, first I want to say thank you so much for that. I was always really scared before getting on stage, but then once I was on stage, I felt free, and Paseo was a big reason why I was able to feel that feeling in such a positive environment. So y'all really helped me to break out of my shell. But yeah, after I left Paseo, I just packed my bags and moved to California. Like a few months later, I ended up going to Musicians Institute, the music's college in Hollywood. And it was very different being in Hollywood than Kansas City, which I wasn't prepared for that. But I just felt like I needed to branch out into a new realm of music, or I just felt like I needed to go somewhere else and just see what else was out there after being at Paseo and I was doing a lot of jazz in Kansas City and things like that. But I just felt, yeah, I just want to try something else. And I actually followed another fellow alum out here at first. He was a drummer, but he actually didn't end up going, so I ended up coming by myself. So, but it was for the best. And now I see that it is. At first I was really bummed, but yeah, when I got out here, I met so many awesome people from all types of different cultures, and I was really just trying to find my way. I didn't really know what exactly I wanted to do or how I was going to do it. I knew that I wanted to be the next Beyonce. That was like my first, I wanted to be my own version of Beyonce. At first I thought it was going to happen within like 3 months because I was cocky, even though I didn't know what I was doing necessarily in the business side of things. But living in Hollywood definitely brought me to reality and really fast. And yeah, but I'm still here and I'm loving it.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, I can only imagine that like Kansas City is so Midwest and it's so slow to probably change compared to some places. And then, you know, the Hollywood experience and the pace and the people and the I guess surface things that are probably not as much on display in the Midwest, you know, like just what you have on and who you have on. And I think we go there to some degree, but yeah, I'm sure that's the glitz, the glamour, right? What we hear about. So that's neat. And you were attracted to that and you still like that?
Well, I actually was really afraid when I went to Hollywood because it wasn't like what you saw on TV at all. It was very scary. There's homeless people everywhere, which I never really realized how bad of a situation that was in America in certain areas, because you have your occasional person in Kansas City, but it's not nowhere near as crazy as here. But when I went to the college, it reminded me so much of Paseo, how it was built, the color scheme, the energy. When I walked in, and everybody was just, you could tell it was a home for the outcasts, the weirdos, like, and that's kind of how I felt about Paseo. It was like, that was home for me. Like, I felt the most comfortable in that building. And when I walked into the Musician Institute, that's how I felt as well. So that's really what made me stick it out here.
That's cool. Yeah, having worked there for so long myself, I feel that way about that place. I get to go back and visit, and it still has that aura of, I'm going to come here, I'm going to find myself, I'm going to have many different ways to pursue art. So that's really neat. It's still providing that service today. If you're listening out there in Kansas City, you're like, what is that school? It's called Paseo Academy of Fine and Performing Arts. It's on 47th and Flora, right up the hill from Gates Barbecue. So you get to smell that all the time when you go there. And if you work there, it's pretty tempting to go down the hill a lot. So, it's fun to reminisce and think about what's going on. So bring us up to what's going on. Like, tell us about, I know your band is called Bodacious Thing, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a cool name. Be a fun thing to explore, even just the name. Are you getting a popping sound?
Am I getting what?
Every once in a while, I'm getting a popping sound. We want to make sure we're not doing that to people out there listening. Maybe it's my.
I'm good on my end.
Okay, cool. I think it's my imagination. Let me back away. Let me back away from the screen. Maybe I'm doing something crazy to it. There it is. I swear I hear it. Okay, it's my imagination. All right, so bring us up to today. What's a day like being in a band and having that be like your job? Is that your day? Is your main life? I'm kind of jealous as heck, to be completely honest. Like, but I don't know what that means. Like, so what does it mean to be in a professional band and be supporting yourself on that lifestyle?
Yeah, it's a lot of things that go into it. So Bodacious Thing did start with me and another partner of mine named Luis. But he's no longer with Bodacious Thing. So now I am Bodacious Thing. It's me.
Oh, wow.
So I'm doing all the writing and promoting and all the CD cover art, everything I'm doing it myself.
Wow.
But Bodacious Thing is one thing that's more of, I don't want to call it my passion project, because it's, that kind of means I'm not expecting it to like generate like a true income. It means, but I know that it will, but it's a work in progress. But before Bodacious Thing, I was in another band for 7 years, and during that time I was actually working like a 9 to 5 as an academic counselor, and actually counseling kids while I was in a band. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I stopped counseling, I believe in 2017, something like that, like 2017. So since then I've been full-time doing music. So like you said, what does that really entail? So I do a lot of demo work for other artists. So if they like my voice, they're like, hi, we like you. We want you to sing on our song because we can't sing, or we want this sound. So they'll hire me for that, which is different than Bodacious Thing. Or voiceover work. I do things like that for apps and all types of different random things, and people will call me for that. I also write for TV and film. So, if someone will send me a brief that says, hey, we need a song, we need 5 songs for this TV show, and we need it done within the next month. And so I'll write 5 songs with the producer or whatever they ask for, and I do that as well. But it's all different things. So it's not just Bodacious Thing. Bodacious Thing is the thing that I'm building up from the bottom, and wanting that to be the end goal is that it's my main source of income. But yeah, I'm working towards that.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And you can hear that at home, that explanation of kind of the logic behind how your art's driving you through this, but still there's a way to support yourself, and it probably takes a tremendous amount of time, dedication, energy. That's so neat, because I mean, I could guess that, like, if you had to turn out for a show back then, I don't know how long you were working on your song, but I remember at Paseo people getting closer and closer to the show itself, and just the amount of work that was going in, and then the quick turnaround sometimes on amazing pieces, just because the audience is just right there, and so I think it's fantastic that you found a way to make that mechanism part of your life, and to have realized that you can keep up like that creatively. Like that's tremendous. I commend you for that, having taught people creative writing for so many years. I think it's hard that sometimes we forget that that's like something you're jumping into, saying you can keep up with it, and that you can sustain it, and that you've really got it in you, because it takes that. So what does that feel like to produce like that and to find that in you? I do it in other ways. I do it by staying in the career of an education. I can turn out some pretty strong curricular material when I need to. I can dig in and make those things happen. I can write some good tests. But like you, I'm more fond of knowing I can keep producing the creative side, that I don't want to let go away, right? And I dabble. Yeah. I'm dying to find a way to make that synergize too. I play and hang out in my basement lately by myself with all my recent purchases to keep working on my own sound. So I'm enamored with people who are finding a way to keep that sharpening of themselves and get paid to do it. That seems like a really cool goal. Does it feel that way? Like that you're going to get better and better, obviously, if you just keep going like this?
Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, I think I didn't know you played, so that's really cool that you do that.
Synthesizers, and I produce, but it's all just for me. Hundreds of hours of stuff that I've recorded, but so I'm in a weird spot compared to somebody else who's like just out there, like I'm so internalized that I'll have this vault of things that no one's ever heard or seen before. But I'm ready if somebody really wants to drop me in something. I'm over practiced. So
that's good to know. Good to know.
I would be glad. Let me in for tiny little spot. Put me in a cameo. I'll be hilarious. Take myself this much seriously enough to have a blast, and I would love it, because I am so, again, kind of enamored by people who are using that part of themselves regularly, instead of like work all week to get back to being that guy. That's honestly what me and my friends do on Friday when we could, is turn back into the person that we really are once a week. So I appreciate what you're doing so much. Let's do this then. This has been
thank you so much.
A fun way to retrace and think through some of what you're doing out there in the world. What would you tell a young person who's been listening this morning if they were to take away some Cheyenne wisdom, right, and kind of translate into something they could do today or tomorrow or for the next couple of years of their lives?
I would say really watch how you talk to your inner self. Make sure you are being encouraging to yourself when things are maybe not going the way you think they are. I also would say write out the goals that you really want to see manifest into your life, and not only write them, but say them out loud and try to make them feel real in your spirit, and just really believe it, And I believe when you write things down and say them out loud, you are putting it out to the universe, and it's only going to take, it only takes so much. It's only gonna be a matter of time when it actually happens, is what I'm just trying to say. So that's something that I do. I believe in meditation and really speaking what you want in life, and that it will come back to you, especially if your intentions are pure and you're just trying to do good to others, and I believe good things will come to you. So
that'll work.
I don't know if that's too hippy dippy, but yeah.
We need some hippy dippy right now in this world, I think so. And I don't think so to anything, that's just spot on, and what young people need to hear, and other than young people need to hear, and that, kind of encourage yourself. And I will say, I spoke this show into existence because I know, after working in this school district for so long, that our students don't hear from the people who have come from our schools ever again sometimes as to how well they're doing, or unfortunately the story that might get played in their mind or on the media would be of someone else who didn't do very well coming out of a system that we consider to fail everyone. But I think that's the myth, and I've seen so many strong people on this little segment that I've been doing now for like 22 episodes in a row or so. I don't know what number this is. I'm just making stuff up, but we're in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And it has not failed at all to produce that awareness in me, even stronger, but then I hope in other people also. And after this, make sure you recommend to me someone else that you think would like to perhaps come on this show and have this talk, and broaden this idea of who are the people who walk across our stages and graduate from the Kansas City Public Schools. Because even recently, we've had so many conversations about attracting people to coming back. And this, to me, would be the way how. To show people the magic place the Kansas City Public Schools can become when you spend your life here. Like, I'm actually a student myself. And graduated from Lincoln College Prep in 1996. So when I carry that on my shoulders and feel proud of that in Kansas City, it has often been challenged by people I have interacted with just in our own everyday lives. When you go outside of the city limits, or when you cross over the state line, somebody has some idea about what that means. So thank you, Cheyenne, for being on here and helping us see yet another awesome example. I would say you're doing your thing, right? And
I'm very happy.
Living your life. And it makes me excited to hear that, and a tiny bit proud that I remember hosting a tiny show that you got a chance, to see the audience's love for you early in your life, and know that's what you wanted more of. So it's just intense to know how many years ago that was, and that
it takes time.
You're still doing it. Yeah.
Yes, that's another thing too. I think people, especially in today's world, we want things to happen so fast, and even though social media works that way, it's not reality. It's not how life works. I've been out here almost 11 years now, and I'm getting to a place where I feel the happiest. Yeah. And it's been gradual, over time. And people, you have to, take that patience with yourself and really just work on yourself, and it'll be fine. It'll work out great, actually. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
It only gets better when you're really doing what you're supposed to, right?
Yes.
It really does.
Say that.
It does. It gets better when you're doing what you're supposed to. So, okay, students out there, I'm almost forgetting about you because I'm having so much fun talking to Cheyenne. But we know you're out there and thinking about what you're going to do with your life and your future. And I hope this has been at least one more path that you might consider or think about is, following your heart and doing what you find true to your abilities that you are noticing as you get older. So that's got to be the number one goal for educators, is for our students to go out and find and utilize themselves fully to their capacity and feel like they're doing what they want to do with their lives. So We're just going to say goodbye here and have a wonderful rest of your Friday in Kansas City. And thanks again for joining us.
The desire to create lives within each of us. From Grammy-winning producers and musicians, to NBA stars, to Navy admirals and Medal of Honor recipients, to internationally renowned artists and beloved local muralists, Paseo graduates have been creating their own success, their own history, their own legacy since 1926. Now it's your time. Create your future at Paseo Academy of Fine and Performing Arts. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Paseo.
Good morning, Kansas City. Thanks for joining us on another fun episode. I am excited again to interview a student that came from our public school system here in Kansas City Public Schools, and honored to have as a guest today, Jermaine Reed. I mentioned to him that I believe I met him once long ago in a fantastic building in our city called Northeast High School. That's just this old Gothic, beautiful building. And I want to talk with you about your memory of that place and a little bit about life after that place. And one reason, if you're listening this morning, might be so that you can start to think about what you will do after you leave high school, and to hear from somebody that's been definitely involved in our city. So thank you, Jermaine, for being part of this today. Will you take us there? Like, you came out of Northeast High School in 2002, I believe.
Yeah.
And then what happened from there?
Oh, a whole lot happened, but let's start with 2002 first, because when you talk about the old Gothic school, that is definitely historic, right in the heartbeat of the old Northeast community here in Kansas City. The thing I remember the most about the building is that it did not have air conditioning as it does now. And while a great school, my principal freshman year was Stephen Brown, who's still around. I get an opportunity to see him different places. He and his wife are very active in their local church, but then I get a chance to see them periodically. Then Miss Ernestine Clark was my principal when I graduated from Northeast in 2002. And ironically enough, not in preparation for this discussion, I have an article from my senior year that was featured in the Kansas City Star from that year. And so this was an article that talked about my time as a student at Northeast, but not only as a student, but also as someone who was making a difference in the community. This young teen reporter at the time, Dallas Reed, no relation to me and spelled differently, wrote an article about me on Generation Rap, because I was a student host and one of the very first students to host that show on Hot 103 Gems, which comes on, and it still comes on every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. But then also just my time in our community and been involved. And I even looked down and it shows my grade point average of a 3.5 at the time. So good times, but that's something
really
that
awesome. And
randomly, as I sit here in my office downtown Kansas City.
Something you still treasure. That's fun. I've been on that panel once myself for Generation Rap because I taught creative writing at Paseo for so long, and some of my students became hosts. Essence Mitchum, a name that I remember, she ran the show for a little while. So thanks for bringing me back to that memory. I forgot I was on Generation Rap with Jim Nunnally and Granddad. And the whole group.
Well, and interestingly enough, and I think about it, this is almost 20 years later, look back for me, because come next year, it will be 20 years that I was senior class president there at Northeast and student body president high school. And if you walk through the building there at Northeast, you will see emblems that are hanging that says class of 2002. It was the very last, I called it graffiti, but emblems that we left on the wall. They're on the third floor and down on the very first floor. near the cafeteria. And so great time. I do remember some not so fond things at the time as well, because I had teachers and counselors, unfortunately, who discouraged me and told me that I wasn't smart enough, or that I didn't put in the right amount of time, and I wouldn't be able to even go to college. And so those things were something that were kind of sore spots, but it didn't necessarily deter me because I was able to get into the University of Missouri at Columbia and graduated there with the political science degree. A great time in Columbia, and met a lot of great friends and people who have been part of my contacts for a very long time. And from there, went to Washington, D.C., worked on Capitol Hill. I have some very good memories of then Senator Barack Obama just coming to the Hill as a senator and working with his staff and his team. And I worked at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, and then having an opportunity to just interact with so many influential individuals during that time, and living in Washington, D.C. for 3 years. And then coming home to Kansas City because that's where my heart is, and wanting to make a difference, and ran for political office, and literally was elected as the youngest person in our city history, and at the age of 25 years old. And speaking of, in no preparation for this interview, I have another article.
No, we need props. Props are awesome.
This is probably the best interview you guys are going to have.
I'm telling you, man, you're ready.
But this article actually is when I was 15 years old. I had interned in Alvin Brooks, his city council office. He's a mayor pro tem and a mentor of mine. But this article was featured in one of the local sections of the Star, and it talks about me being active in Kansas City, in our community. And the reason why I point it out is because every time I think about this article, it is a reminder that literally 10 years later, I was elected to the city council as the youngest person in our city history. And it sort of talks about that. It talks about me riding the city bus downtown, volunteering for Habitat for Humanity, and doing a number of things. But it all started with my drive from Northeast High School and KCPS. At the time, Northeast was a law and military magnet and public service. It had a theme. Most of my friends were going to private school, like Rockhurst and other places in Pembroke, and I couldn't afford that. Our family wasn't able to get a scholarship or anything, and so I went to Northeast, and don't regret it. Don't look back on it, because it was a really important moment for me that always stands out.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that. Like you, I'm from the district. I graduated from Lincoln Prep in 96, and something that I consider a big part of my development, and why I'm aware and kind of part of the community in the way that I am. And I appreciate you, sir, for how you knew and then you got involved, and you've been involved quite a long time, right? That's neat to look back and see, that hasn't just been yesterday. For young people who are listening, maybe you could give them some of these thoughts that you think they most need right now. These aren't long segments. I would love to explore more about, one thing is, if you're not aware, this man ends up at dang near every cool event that I've ever heard of. You are going to the Super Bowl next week, right?
I just bought tickets yesterday, actually.
And you did go last time, yes.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I know. So I'm friends with them on social media and get to see a lot of the things that you experience.
That's just the tip of the iceberg as well.
I know, my man. I've seen all kinds of events that you are in, like the back of a parade or something, and there's Jermaine again. I feel like it's kind of a Where's Jermaine instead of Where's Waldo kind of spotting. Maybe you should start that Kansas City book. Where's Jermaine? Anybody out there wants to draw it? So yeah, how does that feel to go to all of these things? And did you think that would be part of your life, early on?
So you know what? I'll tell you. Literally last week, I attended the inauguration of President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris.
I saw pictures you took that were probably, 100 feet from the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This, let me see. I'm sitting in my office, so I've got, I guess, all these great props. Let's see. I'm seeing if I can find my ticket. Oh, yeah, here it is. And again, no preparation for this, but just crazy
it's
enough.
inspiring. You keep it around you.
Well, it's here in my office. It's not that big, but yeah. So this here was Senator Blunt in my United States Congress. I was a guest of the senator, and I remember when I opened this packet, and I have the same feeling because I literally was looking at my ticket. See, here you go there, and then it was showing me like where I was sitting and everything, and I literally was right in front of the actual stage, and I was sitting with the Joint Chiefs Justice, and all of the president's cabinet was literally behind me where I was sitting, and then a bunch of Secret Service folks and everything. And the reason I mention it is because I had to have an escort. We had a military escort, and then we had a Senate staff member who was escorting us. And it was a moment where I had to feel like I was pinching myself. Yeah. And I turned to my escort, who was a young African-American male, and I said, hey, man, this is not every day. I said, I'm a kid from the hood, and this means a lot to just be here. And granted, I have, as you mentioned, attended probably a lot of great events and done a lot of good things, but there are moments, and that was a moment when you knew the world was watching, and the reality for me was that here I am having an opportunity to be a part of this very important moment in our nation's history, and I have a front row seat to experience it. And so I have to pinch myself at times, but I am humble, I'm blessed, and I have never forgotten where I've come from because it has meant the world to me. It makes me want to cry thinking about it.
No, you're
going down memory lane.
Representing, like I feel very much, I've never lived anywhere else, and I've lived 43 years in Kansas City and taught and as an educator for 21 of those. So I feel very connected to this place, and if I were to move, I don't know that I would feel that way about another place, but maybe so, who knows? I'm probably pretty dedicated wherever I go. But thank you for sharing that. And again, inspiration to go and experience things that, I'm dying to get to some of these events. So, well, I'm going to keep shooting. That's bucket list material right there. What would you tell these young people who are listening this morning? You've given them a great narrative and a really powerful example of how school served you well. Thinking maybe, and not all the way, I think that it's obvious to point that out. School doesn't always serve everyone well. And we're working to improve that for sure. That's one goal I have in doing this show, is helping students think and see the future a little bit earlier than they might, or envision a future, or entertain an option, or look into a window instead of something that you had never seen before. So thinking in that perspective, rewind, be 17, 18, what do you think someone needs to hear?
Well, it's the very same words that I said at 17, 18 from a book that I read called I Dare You. The book is written by a gentleman named John Danforth, and there's about 2 or 3 quotes in that book that stand out, and one of them is to be your own self at your very best at all times. Be your own self at your very best all times. Don't let anyone define you. Life may seem as if it's difficult at the time or at times, but you keep picking yourself up. You keep your eyes on the ball. You be you. You define your own path and make sure that you work toward it every single day at all times. I remember hearing that and reading that, and it has something that has been one of my guiding lights ever since the high school and reading that book. And another one was in that same book is to never give up until you have released your unused capacities for service and shared your gifts with others. One enkindled spirit can set hundreds on fire. And each and every one of us are setting hundreds, thousands of people on fire because we are releasing and using our gifts for the greater good of society. And that book, those quotes have continued to guide me. And I remember saying at my high school graduation that Muhammad Ali said once that a man who sees himself the same way as he did 10 years ago has just wasted 10 years of his life. And we have an opportunity not to waste time, not to waste 10 years, not to waste 10 minutes, not to waste 10 months, but we can continue to set and do things and set the trajectory of what our life will look like. You might have had a child. You might have come from a single parent household and you didn't think nothing was possible. But life and our world is our oyster. And how we utilize our time, our energy, our passion, it's up to us. When one thing seems to go wrong, that's not the end of the world. You got a chance to keep trying. The only thing that you can't change in life is death. And the reason why is because there's no more trying. But when something goes wrong or it may not go the way that you thought it should go, you get up, you try again.
That's awesome. I can hear some Alvin Brooks in there, which is another person I've, working at Paseo and having him visit us sometimes. And myself, I'm a preacher's son. So I can absorb that. I appreciate you saying all that. And I hope you do to Kansas City. This has been a great conversation with you today. Let me ask you, since I have you here, what's your next goal in Kansas City? I know you're still involved a lot. I know you did have a run for mayor. Right. And it was fun to see your posters up like near where I worked at the time. Now we're still in kind of home a lot, but like that one poster was over by Manuel. It was a nice look. I mean, not poster, billboard, let me say. Really fun to drive down that street and see, hey, I remember him. That's the one. Look, he's got a lot of props, folks. I love it. That is exactly what it looked like. That's fantastic. Right. So what's your next move?
Well, I don't know. I currently serve on the Metropolitan Community College Board of Trustees. And so maybe we could sponsor or give a scholarship to a deserving student or something for watching this. Maybe if they reach out or you put a little link or something, we'll figure out something. First student, write me an email at codom@KC Public Schools. I'm going to help you take Jermaine up on that whole idea you just said. All right. I'll do it. That done deal. Awesome. So I serve on the community college board. That includes Maple Woods, Penn Valley, Longview, business technology, and there's another one that escapes me off the top of my head. But there's 5 in our system. Blue River is the one that escaped me. So I'm serving on that, have an opportunity to make a difference in community college and education. I think that's one way of doing things. Obviously, I served on the city council as well, and served for 8 years, and was responsible for a number of projects from public infrastructure to grocery stores there on Prospect, the 31st in Linwood, the Aldi's grocery store at 39th. The Prospect Max was one of the things that I really championed along my time. The airport was the committee in which I had an opportunity to chair and help shepherd that through to make sure that we were able to get it built. And so to answer the question directly, what's next? Who knows? I want to continue to be of service to our community, and in whatever capacity that I can do that, I'm a willing vessel to do that. And I appreciate the opportunity to serve. And I run and own my own business now, where I'm consulting with over 15 cities around the entire country, connecting large and small corporations to local, state, and federal governments. And so there are niches and things that we all are able to do. And so, but as it relates to service, I think that I have a heart and passion for it. I know I do, and want to continue in whatever capacity I can to be able to do that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful chance to catch up with Jermaine Reed, who I think I met one day way back when at Northeast High School.
I was just as charming and just as good looking.
Well, absolutely. I do. That's, I do remember the charisma. So have it, you keep it, you use it, you go use it out in the world. That's fantastic. That's what it's for. If you're listening today and you think you like this show and you want to find out how to be on this show, reach out to me. I work for Kansas City Public Schools. One thing would be neat is that you might have gone to our district. If you did not, and you're still from the Kansas City public area, and you would like to help students see what your experience has been, reach out to me. I think that's a valuable thing that we could talk about. Again, it's been fantastic. This is our show we've been calling Platform here on KCPS-TV. My name is Chris Odom, and I'm delighted to have spoken and talked with Jermaine today. So thank you, Kansas City. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday.
The desire to create lives within each of us. From Grammy-winning producers and musicians, to NBA stars, to Navy admirals and Medal of Honor recipients, to internationally renowned artists, and beloved local muralists, Paseo graduates have been creating their own success, their own history, their own legacy since 1926. Now it's your time. Create your future at Paseo Academy of Fine and Performing Arts. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Paseo.
I am Lincoln Middle.
At Lincoln Middle School, students discover their talents and passions, where teachers plant the seeds of lifelong learning.
I am Lincoln Middle.
Where excellence is nurtured. Students develop the skills to be successful in school, career, and beyond.
Je suis Lincoln Middle.
Lincoln Middle is the public school where your child will thrive and grow. Open a world of possibilities. Apply today. Learn more at enrollkc.org/Lincoln Middle.
I love Southeast because of the culture, the band program, and restorative justice.
I love Southeast because of the academics, sports, and students.
I love Southeast because of the people, the energy, and the advanced classes.
It's not alike. I love Southeast because the students here at Southeast are full of potential and they believe in achieving anything.
We are Southeast. We stand shoulder to shoulder.
Join the Southeast family. Enroll today.